also have our Police Chief Kevin Molis here this evening, and we have remotely Mei Hung, our Executive Director of the Chinese Culture Connection. So the format will remain the same. I'll provide a few updates, as will Mr. Webb and Chief Molis, and we're going to have Mei Hung say a few words, and then we want to get to your questions as quickly as we can. So the biggest news is that the area mayors have been pressing for some time now to have more testing made available. And fortunately, our strong community partner, Cambridge Health Alliance, has answered the call. So they've set up a testing site at their facility on 195 Canal Street, and it's going to be offered for free, but only by appointment. So it will be available Monday through Friday, and if you are interested in being tested, you can call 617-665-2928. As you probably know, the governor extended the essential services order to May 18th. And then when we get to Mr. Webb, he'll not only talk about the number of cases and, unfortunately, the number of deaths, but he's also going to talk about the order that the Board of Health issued last week pertaining to some of our supermarkets here in the city. The other thing that we wanted to let you know is that City Hall services do remain in effect. If you have any questions, you can call us at 781-397-7000. Now, we know this, as the weeks draw on, people are becoming more anxious about returning to work and restarting the economy. So, we have joined the governor in creating our own internal team to start looking and thinking about, what that might be when that time comes. So, I know you've probably heard it before, and it's tough to say, but just try to hang in there. We are starting to try to figure some things out as we move forward. Schools, I think you all know, are out to the end of the school year, but we do continue to provide breakfast and lunch during the day, Monday through Friday, and we are going to be delivering more Chromebooks this week through the great organization, which is my next talking point, Resources. Malden Neighbors Helping Neighbors, which is a grassroots organization that came together through committed people, along with Karen Cologne Hayes from the Senior Center, and who serves as our community outreach manager, are going to be assisting the school department in delivering more Chromebooks to our students. If you have any needs from this great organization, you can call 339-224-4842. Also, in collaboration with the City Council and the Malden Redevelopment Authority, we are moving closer to being able to offer rental assistance, not just to our residents, but also to our small businesses. There is a form on the City of Malden website, cityofmalden.org, which you can sign up while we continue to work out the details of this program. We also are asking people to check in on businesses as some of them continue to come back and deliver, open up for takeout. Just today, I think I read the Crying Tiger on Ferry Street is the latest business that's going to reopen to offer takeout for lunch and dinner. So again, if you go to cityofmalden.org, you'll see some of the details there. And then finally, we would not be here tonight without the assistance of Malden Access Television. So we always want to continue to thank them at the outset of this show. But if this wasn't enough, they've also have come together to begin a campaign to offer support for one another as we make our way through this pandemic. So the name of the campaign is going to be #MaldenTogether. And this multimedia project is, again, intended to bring us all together. They're going to have an online social wall that has been created to collect and combine social media posts that are using the hashtag #MaldenTogether. So photos, videos, artwork, poetry, words of encouragement will all be posted to this wall, which will then be shared with the rest of the community. Now, if you don't use social media, you can also contribute by sending your contributions directly into MATV, which will soon be known as UMA, Urban Media Arts. If you're online, check out matv.org/MaldenTogether to find out how you can contribute. The information will also be available on the city's website. So once again, this is how we were not hoping to get together, but we want to make sure that we provide you with as much information as we know on a weekly basis. So with that being said, now let's go to our Director of Public Health, Chris Webb. He'll say a few words, followed by a police chief, then May Hung, and then to your questions.
Good evening. Today I have the sad situation where I have to explain how things are going. They're going well, but we're at 744 confirmed cases as of today, with 40 deaths, which is, believe it or not, on par with where I think we should be. Actually, I'm thinking I have a played out number, and we're half of that. And I think that's really where we're falling right where we thought we would. We could use a little more help from the community, though, when it comes to masking. So we've, the Board of Health put together some regulations, an emergency order last week that's been in effect starting, I think it was Friday, and we're slowly getting compliance with. I think a lot of people thought it was coming and have taken the steps to mask up before they leave the house. And it's as simple as masking up. Even if you're just going to your car, if you go into a restaurant for pickup, takeout, you have to have a mask to get inside. Right. If you don't have a mask, you're not going to get in. Same for a supermarket. Any essential service provider is going to require you to have a face covering, not necessarily a mask. Right. Let me correct that. It's going to be, you can wear a scarf, you can wear a mask, you could wear a drape of some sort, but it has to cover your nose and mouth. And it's rolling out slowly. We didn't get quite the compliance I would have liked today, but we'll have inspectors out again tomorrow to show people how to post a piece of paper on their door so that we made a standard sign, so you'll see it. It has a blue head on it. When you drive by, you'll know which stores are in compliance. So hopefully by tomorrow, close of business, that will all be uniform, so no one will be confused.
Okay, good. All right, Chief?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, everyone. I sit here as the police chief, but I just want to let you know on behalf of your police department, your fire department, and your ambulance service, who are the front line during this crisis, I just want to let you know that we remain strong and capable in our ability to serve you in every way that we can, in every way that you need. Clearly, there are more precautionary realities to the everyday work of a police officer, a firefighter, or someone who's an EMT. I will tell you that we are well equipped, well supplied, and well supported. And because of that, we've adapted to the evolving information that comes our way. Policies have been enacted, policies have been modified. But every day I try to go to roll call, and I stand there and I listen to the officers announce that they are here and present, and it makes me feel very, very edified to know that when they say that they are here and they are present, they are here for you. They will continue to serve you any way that you need, any way that you call us. I will tell you that our response times remain very, very strong. Anyone that is in need of emergency service gets it in a timely, professional, comprehensive manner. And when I say that, that is on behalf of the police department, the fire department, and the ambulance service. So we are here to serve you, we are here to protect you, but we are here to work with you. And touching upon something that Mr. Webb said and that the mayor has repeatedly said, this is a collaborative effort, this is a community effort, and through our cooperation together, following the advice, the principles, and the guidelines, I think that serves us all well to be safer. It helps us in our job, and it helps us in moving forward to a day when we don't have to have these meetings remotely, when we can have them face-to-face throughout this great city of ours.
Great, thank you very much. Now, Ms. Hung, how's everything at the Chinese Culture Connection? And before you say a word, we just want to say thank you for your support of our city. I still remember when this first broke, you were one of the first organizations to reach out to us to offer PPE, protective equipment, personal protective equipment for our first responders in our city. So we want to take the opportunity to say thank you for doing that. So without further ado, May Hung.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I am really grateful that we have the opportunity to be part of this community effort to help to conquer. Thank you, Mayor. I am really grateful. the COVID-19.
Yep.
I'm hearing a double voice. I don't know why. So anyhow,
we're going to work on that with May Hung. May, why don't we do this? We're going to defer back to you, Mayor, and we're going to just work on the technical issue, and then we'll come right back to you. So, Mayor, why don't you take it away with further update, and let me just work quickly with May on this.
Okay,
Well,
thanks.
okay. Well, I think we're going to go to the questions, but I think what we've been doing recently is maybe I'll just ask you a question before we do get to the public. It's otherwise known as In the Webb, which I borrowed from Nesta Dudley on the hit show Around the Rim. So, Mr. Webb, let me ask you, 3-4 weeks ago, everybody predicted the surge would have been last week or the week before, but that actually hasn't been the case. Why is that?
Well, I think I think there was a surge. It just wasn't at the strength and capacity that they anticipated. I think, and I think a lot of that goes to the governor and the Department of Public Health looking at those numbers and taking really strict measures in the beginning. If you look around, and if you look around at other states, they start very slowly. Mm-hmm. They talk about it for 2 weeks, and then they go to essential businesses. That 2 weeks those 2 weeks are what killed them in the end. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of, that's where the surge comes from. If you let people just go about for those first 2 weeks, states like Georgia are going to be really, really hurt by that. And their new idea about opening up, that's not going to help anybody either. But I credit that to a very early start, a strong understanding of what was happening. I think the Department of Public Health has said really smart people there, and the governor got some more smart people from partners in places like that who can work on big problems and make them small. And I think that's where we were successful. Everybody got a good understanding of what their job was. We stayed in our lanes, public health, public safety, the governor's office, the executive office, the state police. Everybody's been doing an incredible job. I mean, just the idea that police officers and firemen and EMS aren't getting as sick at the rate everybody would have anticipated. Watch New York, for example, is a testament to the good work we did early on.
Okay. Chief, you're noted for being out and about in the community. Someone asked me recently, how much do you walk on a daily basis? How much miles do you get in?
I'm glad you said that. So if you notice, this is not an advertisement for Fitbit, but I do wear a device that tracks my activity. And I've been hovering around 15,000 steps a day. So I do get out. I do believe that people should be encouraged to promote their own wellness.
Right.
I think Chris or anybody would support me on the idea that we all have a role to play in this, and the best thing we can do is take care of ourselves primarily. If we take care of ourselves and the 6 feet around us, that'll serve us well. I do admit that when I do go out on my walks on the beat, the streets are a little empty. They're quiet. I went out last night and walked at 11 o'clock, and there aren't as many people to encounter.
Do you vary the routes?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes I get through the square and, remember my early days in 1980 walking Malden Square. But, I will say that with that absence of interactions with people comes the sense that it's a good thing. The fact that I'm not encountering people means that people are taking the precautions seriously. Yeah. And it's just a phase that we're in right now. I am a bit of a traditionalist and a historian when it comes to public safety. And I look back at 1918, I saw members of the Boston Police Department wearing masks. So, it looks like, this is a critical moment in our history that we're living right now. But there are great examples of our community coming together through many challenges in the past, and we will continue to do this. And my level of confidence comes from knowing the commitment of good people in city government, but more so the majority of the good people that are out there doing what we ask, and people like May who are stepping up and asking what can they do for us.
Great. Great. So, Mr. Corcoran, are we going to go back to Ms. Hung, or are we going to go to questions?
Yes, I think we figured out the technical problem. Go ahead, Ms. Hung. You can complete your update.
Sure, thank you. Yes, I was saying that we are very glad that we had the opportunity to take part and to join the effort of the city of Malden trying to combat this COVID-19. And so after we have done that, right now we are in the process of, we started actually a new program to help to support the Asian or Chinese community, particularly the children who's not able to get into a regular routine when the school is closed. So we provide 2 hours and then activities online in the afternoon to support them. We know that they have some connection with the schools during the 8 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't really know how that kind of interaction going on with the school, but some family actually asking some question about such things. So later on we can talk about it.
All right, great. Well, thank you once again for being here and for all that you're doing. Let's take a few questions.
So as you know, we do have callers that are calling in, and in this particular case, we're going to try something brand new here, and that is we do have a caller on the line who has called in knowing Mei Hung is here, and we're going to actually, we're going to have you greet this caller because English is not their first language. So so if we can in studio bring the caller up live, and Mei, you can go ahead and greet them and then interpret the question.
Sure. 嘿，你好，我是红梅。
喂，我是小姐啊。
哦，小姐，太好了，谢谢你打电话来。
哎，
请问你的问题是什么呢？
我觉得这次的疫情，我觉得大家，我们老人家跟那个市民啊，摩顿的市民都很听话，都不外出。所以呢，你先翻译一点吧，我们都很听话，都不上街啊，老人家，都好听话。市长的带领下，我们都好听话。
So first of all, she wanted to let everyone know that these are the senior members. They have been very obedient. That ever heard the situation about staying home and social distancing. So
thank you for that.
They've been staying home to stay out of trouble.
Thank you.
Thank you.
OK，
再来继续。工作不错，很支持我们华人，我们呢都好，觉得市长这次的疫情做得不错。
好。She also said that so far they feel that the mayor has been and the city of Malden have been doing a great job to help people stay in calm situation, and they are feeling pretty pleased.
Well, tell her, May, to be the last caller next time.
所以呢，我们都不担心，都不害怕，没有那么害怕，你知道吗？
So because of the city taking such a strong support and also taking the initiative to prepare everyone, so they have a less fear and concern about it, and so they just can't stay at home and stay put.
Yeah, well, it's really a tribute to, you know, the people that are here tonight, Chief Molis, Director Webb, and others that really have been collaborating on a daily basis, including weekends and holidays and nights, and, you know, we're just trying to do what we can to help.
市长说，其实这些工作就是有关于这些市政府有很多的这些工作人员，尤其是这个警察局长警察局的这个警察还有其他的这些
在他的带领下了，在他的带领下，好多人都很好了工作，你知道吗？市长啊，警察有他带领嘛，你知道吗？那个头带的好，人家就那些人都。 支持他嘛，都站出来嘛，你知道吗？
太好了，那你有没有什么问题？
另外呢，我就觉得呢，我们很支持市长啦，他们所有的工作人员是不是？但是他们呢，也要听取我们的意见。我觉得，关于怎么听取呢？因为呢，好像老人中心活动啊。 弄得十分不好，我觉得越来越差劲。他要抓好一点。这个疫情过后，他要把老人中心的工作抓得紧一点。那现在的工作呢，又浪费人力，又浪费物力， 做不了橙汁，又人家就活动了，也没有什么活动。现在
OK，现在的疫情的东西是已经关门，但不，我先把你的问题先给他翻译一下。
原来不是希望
等一下，我先翻译一下哈。So Mayor, she was saying that because under your leadership that everyone is following to the right direction and doing so well. But of course, she also have some other suggestions in terms of the senior center because she probably know that right now it's closing, the entire city is closed, but she would like to see more activities being available for people.
All right, we'll talk about those once we get back. But for now, I just want to say thank you to her for working with us to try to, do as much as we can here. 谢谢。
谢谢。苏小姐，
你知道吗？到现在的老人中心呢，不是说现在没疫情以前哪有什么活动？是不是死板板的？又要工作人员，办公室又这么多人，浪费人力跟物力，但是呢，人家得不到什么好的效果，你知道吗？
对，没有关系。
老人中心办得好一点。
是。现在这个疫情的时候，我们要来谈疫情的事情，所以说这个有关老人中心的情况的话，可能以后再变成一个话题。现在我们所关心的问题就是说，有关于这个疫情的这个状况，如果任何人有碰到任何的问题的话，可以来询问，或是有什么建议可以来帮忙提供给政府，好不好？那我们下面还有很多人在打电话，那我就下一位再给你。
我就简单讲一个，这个暂时疫情呢。我们的老人乒乓球那些人呢都没有什么特别情况，有什么情况的，现在大家都活得很好。如果什么不好的，我们就提意见。
Yes， 好，那我们改天再聊哈，谢谢。还有其他人。
拜拜啦，拜拜。
谢谢。OK，Thank you。
拜拜。
Doce Daga. All right, let's go to our next caller.
All right, so we are going to take some questions, obviously, from our traditional channels, one of them being Facebook. And we have a couple of questions that have come in. So the first one is from Amanda. And Amanda is a frequent contributor to this weekly show. So hello again, Amanda.
Thank you.
And the first question is, any predictions on what schools may look like in the fall? I know there aren't plans, but just thoughts on how we will go forward, classes, etc.
Do you want to take without the superintendent here? I mean,
Yeah,
I know you've had some thoughts on it.
He and I have spoken a little bit about it, but there's no real clear path right now.
Okay. But it will not look like it did.
Oh, I don't think so, no. I think you'll see staggered times for classes, so you won't have all the students approaching a building at one time. So, and they'll obviously be released at a later date, later hours or half hours, something like that, just to keep the traffic down.
And you think this will be something statewide? They're not going to leave cities and towns to...
No, they're going to. It will be a statewide practice, and the reason that would be is in case there is another flare-up, we know exactly what we're looking at and how to react when we come back out of that flare-up.
Now, Chris, will students be required to wear masks? I thought I read just have them on hand, right?
I think in the initial days, yes, because I think there'll be a lot of temperature checks going on, and we'll start with masks, and when we know we're not getting any flare-ups in any of the schools, we'll take, the masks will come down, but they will have to have them with them I would think, for the school year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Amanda, we do have a school committee meeting this Monday night at 6 o'clock if you wanted to tune in, where there's a section of the agenda called the Superintendent's Report, where I think he's going to touch upon, what may be coming our way now and in the fall.
Okay. Our next question is from Joey. Joey's also come in through Facebook. And the question is about the Fellsmere Pond area, a.k.a. the Res.
Right. We just talked about this, yeah.
We'd like to know if he sees many people walking around the trails as he drives by and like to take his kids outside to run around. Can't do it on the streets, and just wondering if that is an option. And he also says, thank you for your hard work, Malden Strong.
Yeah, the chief and I have just talked about this week, so let's give him an opportunity to weigh in. I know you're a big believer of giving people the opportunity to get some fresh air, and that's one of the places to do it, right?
Yeah, Fellsmere Pond, the way it's set up,
right,
in my opinion, would look like a place where people can walk, breathe fresh air. There is no playing fields. There is no equipment there that would encourage people to gather toward one level of activity, like a tot lot or a ball field or anything like that. It tends to have trails. It tends to have benches. It allows people to walk as they do on a sidewalk, but it allows them some picturesque scenery and ability to reflect and meditate and just, engage in some peaceful activity. So that would be a unique environment. I don't necessarily call it a park.
Okay.
I look at it more like a reservation or a place of being able to commune with nature, but it obviously gives you the ability to do it safely. Again, the same guidelines that we're talking about in every aspect of life, the social distancing, the maintaining cleanliness and things like that, you could definitely do it there.
Yeah.
So I would say of all of the open areas of the city that the city has some control or oversight of, that would be the place that I would say allows people to engage in passive activity without any risk to themselves, if everybody does it right.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, why don't you both reiterate, because you have opened my eyes to this. We had a call about the bike path this week.
Yeah.
And you've said, although that is wide,
yeah.
I forget the dimensions on it, but I think you've always ended by saying if people protect themselves,
yes,
they won't have to.
Exactly.
Right. I mean, this is kind of analogous, Your Honor, to many aspects of the world that I work in, becoming a victim of crime. If you look at the virus as a threat, as an enemy, or as a criminal, take, for example, how many times do we talk about people whose cars get broken into?
Right.
There are things that you can do to make yourself less vulnerable. Lock your car and don't leave valuables in it. Now, that doesn't mean that some determined person could still break the window, but I'm telling you, by and large, if you follow these basic foundational guidelines of keeping distance, wearing a mask, maintaining, regular cleanliness and paying attention to what's going on within that zone around you, you will make yourself safer. You will make yourself less vulnerable. It is never 100% guaranteed,
right,
but you can minimize the risk everywhere you are in life.
Yep.
And that's why I would look at Fellsmere as a place where people can go and engage safely in a recreational activity that I think that benefits them mentally and physically.
Okay. Do you want to add to that, Chris?
The only thing I would add, and we hear it a little bit, is like the bike path, and it's earlier and when the parks were still open. The issue comes that if you get there and it's crowded, it may not be your day. It may not be your hour. Maybe you go do something else for a little while and go back. Don't pressure yourself. This is the only chance we're going to get. You'll have time. People won't be staying long. That doesn't seem to be what they do. They get out for about 30 minutes and they go home. Find something else to do. Come back when it's less crowded or when you're more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because the police aren't going to go there and thin the crowd so more people can come.
Right.
So, and then if you're there, enjoy it, but know that other people want to be there too.
And I think you both said we are one of the most walkable cities in the city, so if the bike path's not
Right.
to your liking, there's plenty of other.
Yeah, I
Salem
would say
Street.
that if fresh air is what you're looking for, the air is just as fresh on the sidewalk
Right.
as it is on the bike
Right.
path or any other place. So
Okay.
there are options.
Okay. Does that answer that, Mr. Cochran?
I believe so. We're going to move on. We have a few questions coming into us via the live chat on our YouTube live feed on Malden Access Television, so I do want to make sure I get to a few of those. First, just a quick one. Jeff asked just to quickly reiterate what the numbers were. So at some point, Mr. Webb, if you could do that.
Yeah, we can do that right now, Mr. Cochran.
Very quickly, yes,
yeah.
it's 744 confirmed cases and with 40 deaths.
And just to remind folks that we do keep our running count of what our totals are on our webpage rather, and that'd be cityofmalden.org/coronavirus, and that we have a variety of resources on that. So we encourage people to visit that. At this time, before we go to our next question, I believe, Mr. Mayor, you are going to speak about Malden Access Television's initiative.
I think at this point we were going to talk about, again, the Chinese Culture Connection and all the support they've given us since this pandemic began. And so they, in addition to providing our first responders with the equipment, they've also come up with a campaign called Stronger Together. So this is sort of the prelude into what MATV's doing. And so we just want to show you a little bit of what they've been working on over the past several weeks.
Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected us in a variety of ways.
We know that people are out of work.
It's been such a challenging time for all of us.
And we've even seen acts of discrimination right here in Malden.
The Asian community has suffered so much misplaced blame for the challenges caused by this virus.
Though we don't know what the future holds,
targeting Asian American Pacific Islanders is not the answer.
My message to you is, let's stick together.
Diversity and inclusion makes us a stronger community.
And we know that our diversity gives us unity.
Even though we must stand at a distance.
We stand with the Chinese community in Malden.
And we are stronger together.
Show your support for our Asian neighbors
while we try to get through the coronavirus.
We want to ensure everyone that
we are in this together.
I don't know why we did that halfway through. We should have ended the show with that. That is powerful, amazing, and just tells you how lucky we are to have the Chinese Culture Connection here in the city of Malden. So thank you again, Mei Hung, and to all the members of that awesome organization. All right, so now we want to take some more questions.
I also want to take this opportunity to...
Go ahead, Ms. Hung.
Yes, I was also going to say that I want to take this opportunity to thank James for editing this, and then the entire community, whoever the faces you saw, they were the community groups that we have asked. And of course, some people did not have a chance to submit their recording, but we hope that next time we have another opportunity to include them.
Thank you for doing that.
Okay, well, I think it's entirely appropriate. On the heels of that, we are going to go ahead to another caller. And May, we're going to have you once again greet the caller. So, studio, if you could please bring the caller live, and May will greet them.
Hello, 你好。
你好吗？你好吗？
你好。你还在吗？
Well, we may have lost them, so we're going to come back to them as soon as they're ready. We're going to try to get them to call back in. But we've got plenty of questions here that we would like to get to. The first question I have from the YouTube side of things is that Paul asks, he's noticed that several convenience stores are still offering Keno with people hanging around at the stores. Although with masks, the concern there is that this is an area or an opportunity to congregate that maybe shouldn't be allowed, and that's the question.
All right, let's go to Mr. Webb on that.
That's unfortunate. We've been working very hard on a few different convenience stores, actually, that we've had to have furniture removed because they just don't get it. I would just put it out to the community. You're not helping this store owner in any way, shape, or form. He's getting a fraction of his sales anyway, and you're just keeping other people who would want to go into the store to go in there because you're congregating. So you're taking away someone else's opportunity to get milk, bread, or other things. That's the basics of it. But the reality is you're in violation of the emergency order, and if we do go in and there's congregation, we will have you identified and you will be fined.
All right, so Chris, who should Paul call? What's the phone number or email?
781-397-7049 is the health department number.
And is there an email, BOH?
BOH@cityofmalden.org.
So Paul, if you see that live, call that in.
Please do.
Yeah, right away, because we can enforce it. we've notified everyone that it's no longer allowed, but as you can imagine, trying to stay on it, you know, on an hourly basis is difficult. So we rely on people like you to let us know as you're seeing it happening.
Okay, our next question also comes from our YouTube feed, and forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong. It's Newe, and asks to Chief Molis, have you noticed an uptick in domestic violence incidents within the city? And if so, how are you combating this?
I can't say that there has been a increase that would be alarming in the sense that it's connected to people staying at home. The reassuring thing I want to do in response to that question is to reassure people that all services that people in need in a domestic violence situation continue to be provided. I have a detective, Elijah McNeil, who was specifically assigned to the Family Services Unit. If there's an ongoing, in-progress domestic violence situation, the Malden Police respond immediately, forthwith, with a street sergeant, and services are offered, whether they be emergency protective orders. We have been able to maintain some continuity with the courts for those that are seeking protective orders. So we have had to evolve about how the services are provided, but I want to assure people that any services that they do need continue to be provided. So there is nothing that has been put on hold. There is nothing that has been eliminated. There is nothing that is getting in the way of people in need. We have made arrests when we've gone to situations of domestic violence where the elements to meet the crime have occurred, and we have made arrests. But I think instinctively when this began and there was this knowledge that people would be home more, that there would be certain increases in certain crimes, it's something that I look at every day. While we have not been absent of domestic violence situations, I can't necessarily attribute any significant or alarming increase to the COVID-19 crisis.
Chief, they wanted more information or to make a call. What's the number?
Well, if somebody is aware that domestic violence is going on, whether they are a victim or they're aware of it, they should call the police 911 as they would any time if it's an ongoing incident that's taking place. If somebody needs a referral to services, we still have a relationship with Respond, which is a partner that the mayor's office brought on years ago to provide services to domestic violence victims, whether it be to give them emotional support, help them through the process of protective orders, or just help them through the process of a court case. So that remains intact. So the services continue to be provided. But again, I want to emphasize to anyone, if they are the victim of domestic violence, they do not have to fear that this crisis, this COVID-19 crisis, is going to impede our ability to protect them and to serve them and to provide them the support services that they need.
So, Chief, if it's non-emergency, what's the number they should call?
If somebody is just looking for general advice or wants some referral to support services, they could call the general police number, 781-397-7171.
And should they ask
they could call the detective's office at 781-397-7181. Again, Detective Elijah McNeil is specifically assigned to that function. He does a remarkable job managing a variety of situations and cases. He has the perfect demeanor and disposition for that job, and he does a great job, and he's a great partner with Response. So I want to let someone know that domestic violence is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week part of our police function. It is one of the priorities that we have, and we want people to know that we are available anytime they need us in an emergency or in a non-emergency if it's a referral.
And I just want to publicly thank you. I remember way back when you and I were going over the checklist, and you had to move things around, but the one thing you would not sacrifice is making sure that we had those services available for people in the community. I remember you saying specifically that you had been in touch with Respond. The relationship would continue despite the pandemic.
Yeah,
so
they are a great partner. I remember when they asked to meet you And I think you and I concluded mutually that at the end of the day, you know, when we look back on our day before we go to sleep, we always say to ourselves, have we done as much as we can to protect everyone? And that was an area that we said we wanted to be able to say that we have a comprehensive approach, particularly the most vulnerable. And I want to commend you for your recognition of that, your openness to it, and your continued support.
Thank you. So the next question, Mr. Cochran?
Yeah, we do have our caller back, so we're going to try this one more time. So, studio, if you can put the caller on, and May, go ahead.
你好吗？
你好，
我是
你好
Malden 徐中。
Very good.
喂，红梅。
哎，你好。
你好，
请问
我是说这个我们这个Stop Shop这个商店，现在我昨天去买菜，看到都戴着口罩，还有2个警察在那儿门口里边监督着这件事情，维持秩序，做得非常好。但是呢，还有一个地方不好的地方。就是这个中国银行，就是 Stop Shop 对过那个银行，3台取款机。昨天我去到那去一看，那个小房间里黑洞洞的，那也没有人，有的人就不戴口罩就进去，在里面操作就走了，也没有洗手液。你想想看，那个封闭的地方呢，很不安全。能不能让他们用洗手液？大家都要戴口罩，就是说你不戴口罩。也没有指示，就是你不戴口罩不能进这个地方。应该强调一下，那个 Stop Shop 门口有个牌子，你要来买东西就要戴口罩。这个银行门口就是美国银行门口，它没有任何标识，这些人随便进。
是 OK， 好，我来，你说这个哪一个银行啊？是 Stop and Shop 里面的银行，还是外面的那个美国的这个美国银行？美国Bank of America。
美国银行就是Stop Shop 对过就是一个停车场，停车场那边挨着就一个美国银行啊。
行，可以了，我来翻译。
我国人那个店那个银行，这个银行在美国在Malden是比较大的银行，里边是办公室，外边是这个取款机，3台取款机，也没有消毒液，人不戴口罩，门口也没有牌子，你能竖个牌子，必须戴口罩才能进去。你像那人手乱摸完之后，其他人拿手去摸，也不戴口罩，里边是通风。
好了，可以了，我了解了，我现在来帮他翻译一下 ，OK， 谢谢。So she was saying that the police and city are doing very well to go around check on Stop and Shop that people are actually wearing masks when they are shopping, and also the workers there also wear masks. But across the street, the Bank of America. When they have 3 machines, and then also inside people are not, wearing masks or even providing any sanitizer for people. That's very dangerous. And she was hoping that the city can really check on to them to make sure that they actually follow this procedures so that everyone can be safe.
So, May, that's the Bank of America right next to Super Stop and Shop in the plaza?
Yes.
Do you know anything of that?
We can take care of that. Well, I don't know of any issues there, but we'll have an inspector there tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll go by there tomorrow. May and check it out.
Gladly, yes.
太好了，他市长说他们明天就会去检查看看，然后确定他们能够就是按照规矩来。谢谢你打这个电话。OK， 谢谢。
Okay, Mr. Cochran, where do you want to go next?
Sure, we're gonna head back to our YouTube feed, which has been quite active, and Ernest asks, what will transportation be like for taxis in the MBTA? Now, I'm assuming what they mean is, I guess, going forward or as we come back out of, the deepest part of the crisis.
Any thoughts? I know you spend a lot of time over at Malden Center, Chief. Do you want to start with Mr. Webb and then go to you? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that the T has any, specific plans about how you move people either by a bus or a subway. I mean, the ridership has clearly been down. I've been over there.
Definitely.
So the reality is when people do return to work, ridership increases, the level of congestion and numbers increases along with the attendant concerns. But I don't know that.
Are you hearing anything, Mr. Webb?
I don't know what they're going to do, but I know what I'd like them to do. That's easy. Well, there are devices out there now that you can hang from the ceiling and can read a crowd And if you've got people with temperatures, aren't wearing masks, you can look at that remotely, and you don't have to have an inspector standing out there in the midst of the crowd. So he's looking at a screen, he'll be able to identify that person by face. If they have a temperature, this camera will tell him that. He can go over and then do another check on that person. And if they do have a temperature, he could exclude them from the train. That would be a smart thing to do, because that person may not even know they have a temperature. It may just be starting. Or they may be ill and just cannot afford not to be at work.
So are you saying this would be done remotely or within Malden Center, for instance?
Right as you walk, when you open the door to go into Malden Center, there should be a camera pointing right down.
And this person would be there in case they...
Probably in a kiosk right off to the side watching it, and maybe 2 kiosks, one for each entryway.
Now, is there any other state or country, have you heard of that happening?
I only know of this beautiful device because it was sent to me in an email recently, which I forwarded on to the school department, so that they might consider it. It's not an expensive device. It's very small. It's unobtrusive. You don't even know you're being viewed.
Yeah.
So if it's just used for those purposes, I don't really see a problem with it. Of course, I'd like it taken down afterwards.
Yeah.
But I think that's a good way to give people confidence that they're getting on the train with people who have done the right thing, aren't asymptomatic and positive, or are sick.
Yeah.
You know, and there's really, after that, I don't know much more that you can do.
Okay.
You have to keep pushing people to have, personal responsibility not only for themselves, but the people that are going to be on the train with them.
What about taxis? Do you see the same thing sort of happening there? They're going to have to change how they operate, or have they? I mean, I know they were closed for a little bit, right?
Yeah. I know that I've read generally that the industry has suffered. Less people are traveling by taxi because people are staying at home. But again, the reality is when we talk about distancing and the reality of coughing and breathing, when you're in a vehicle, you are less than 6 feet from the person near you. So I think what you're going to see moving into the future, I would say the future of things like that is going to be taking measures that make the customer feel comfortable before they choose to take that mode of transportation. And the way you do that would be by taking every protective, innovative measure possible, because I think you have to restore confidence in the citizen before they make a wise choice to go to a public restaurant, to a public transportation. All these decisions are going to be made by people when they have a level of confidence. Now, some people have to do things out of necessity. There are people that, because of economics, rely on public transportation. They don't have the luxury of even staying at home. They don't have the luxury of having a vehicle. So I think that there are some everyday realities. But again, I think it's incumbent upon those industries. They will only survive if they become innovative to make sure that the needs of their client base or customers are met.
Okay. All right, thank you. Next question, Ron?
Sure. We have Kim from Facebook asks, why is there a difference or a substantial difference between positive cases in neighboring cities? She gives the example of Melrose having 157 cases, whereas we're up towards 700.
Mr. Webb?
That's very simple. Melrose has 23,000 people. We have 65,000 people. So the math there is obvious. The other thing is we have 2 train stations. Most of the people from Melrose enter in at Oak Grove, and most of the people from Malden enter in at Malden Center. But that's a breeding ground, so we've had to deal with that. We have taller buildings. We have larger housing complexes in general, all types, that they don't have in Melrose. They don't have the shared common spaces that we enjoy here. So they're a little more of a town than they are a city.
Got it. Okay.
Okay. Our next question is from Lee Pin. Lee Pin, go ahead. You are on the air with the panel.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So first of all, I want to thank all of you for doing a great job protecting us. And I just have a question about the single stream recycling system. I know that there was some discussion that we're going to have a hearing or something like that. But then now with the coronavirus situation, what's the city's schedule for this
Yep.
Yeah, that would be it.
Yep, you summed it up perfectly. If not for this, I think we would have been moving full steam ahead on single stream recycling and everything else involved with going to a new program. But now with this, that's been put on hold. One being, we want to figure out what we're going to be dealing with financially and make sure that it all fits with the projections that we had prior to the pandemic. But I do think, regardless of what the financial fallout is, we are going to try to make some changes to the program. We've heard loud and clear over the years that we have to do something. And again, we had something that was grand, but now with what's happened, we're not quite sure we're going to be able to get to where we want it to go. But again, I think something will happen. It's just a matter of what and when. So please just hang in there. We know this is an important issue, and if I know our financial team and the City Council will arrive at something that will be better than what we have today.
Yeah, because that's really a pain in the neck.
Yep.
When especially in a snowy day or a windy day or a rainy day. I mean, it's just really hard for us to, even drive on the road because sometimes the recycle bin is just all over the place.
Yep, no, we agree. Yeah. It's just, unfortunately, the contract that we have with our hauler calls for dual stream recycling. So for us to change it, it's going to be at an expense. And now with the state talking about, cutting back on the aid that we normally receive, we have to juggle, both of those ideas now to try to make them all work. So, but again, we understand, we hear you loud and clear, and we'll try to do what we can.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we have just about 10 minutes left in our program, and of course, as always, we will go overtime if we need to, and we're always happy to retrieve any questions that have been asked after the fact. We try to answer most of those as we can. We do actually have May collected some questions from members of her community that she'd like to put forth to the panel. So right. May, I'll leave it up to you.
Yes, there's one question. I'm going to start from the bottom. So a resident said that she applied a senior housing for her parents. That's about 8 months ago. And she hasn't really heard anything yet. She is currently in the process of getting a divorce, and her husband wanted her to move out along with her parents. So she's in a state of a very panicky situation and not knowing how she's going to be able to help her parents along. If she would the city able to come up, allow the parents have a place to stay, she can take care of herself much easier. So is there any way that she can find out how soon the situation is or where she can follow up with the process?
Who did she apply with? Do you know, Ms. Hung?
She went to a 630
7th Street. Yeah. I don't have the phone number on us, but if you have them call us tomorrow, 781-397-7000, and ask for Karen Hayes. We'll connect her with Karen Hayes at the Senior Center. Mm-hmm. Karen Hayes is our liaison, our representative to the Malden Housing Authority Board. So maybe she can help find out where they are, because I know the list is pretty extensive, but at least we can find out what what number she is on it and what she might be able to do, if anything, going forward.
Great, I will. I'm sure if she's watching, she will know it. If not, I will relate that to her.
Yeah, please.
The other question is that some of the parents have a concern, very concerned about the school has been closing for such a long time. Right. And they know that the school has provided some homework support and engaged with some teachers, and not knowing how long, because this is not very structured. They were wondering if there are other structured interactive programs available, or when is the summer program will be available to engage the children.
We're just starting to talk about that now. Again, if they could tune in Monday night, 6 o'clock online, we're going to be having our monthly school committee meeting where Superintendent O'Terry will be elaborating on what's taken place so far with remote learning and what's going to happen with the remaining of the school year. I think also in his report he's going to touch upon some of the early thinking around summer programming. You know, again, we don't know what the end date is here, but he might be able to at least allude to some of the thoughts so far about what may or may not happen around summer programming.
Okay, great. Another question is that since so many restaurants are closed, and people were wondering if the city have been encouraging their staff or employees to go around buying some takeout orders, since the city's employees still have job. A lot of people have no job.
Without a doubt, number one customer right here. We just we ordered today from Cornucopia for breakfast, who is another great community partner for us. So yeah, we're always pushing that. Kevin Duffy, our business development officer, has really spent a lot of time on the phone with different businesses to understand what they're offering and not offering, and has a designated section on the city's website at cityofmalden.org listing who's open, who's not, what they're offering, the ones that are open, and how you can support them.
That's great. So another question is that senior members who are staying home, and some people feel trapped, they may not have access to buy facial masks, or they were wondering if the city will provide some masks for those senior, particularly at the senior housing.
Yeah, go right ahead, Mr.
As of today, we brought in 1,500 masks to the Housing Authority. That will give, I believe it's 2 masks to each unit in Malden Housing. Okay. That covers all of their units. So we're going to do that now, and then hope we'll get another shipment in. We have another 10,000 masks supposedly coming. If they get through, we'll do it again another week from now.
Okay. Does that
That's
answer
wonderful.
that? She's
Yes,
in. She's in one of the Housing Authority buildings. Where does
Yes.
Where does she live?
Well, I don't know. This is probably just a question. Maybe the family has a relatives living.
They'll be
in-
delivering them to the doors.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Great. Thank you. So one last question I have is that the residents was wondering if the city provide, in terms of like implementing some kind of a serious measure in terms of enforcing people to wear masks when they go out, and if they don't, would they be fined or would they be, punished?
We're going to go to our police chief here. We've talked about this off and on since the inception of masks, and let me have him.
Yeah, the mayor and I have had, very candid conversations about this. Again, we look at the everyday reality of the city. I see the majority of the good people out there doing what is in their best interest, and what is in their best interest lines up with what's in the best interest of the community. So when you come up with a idea of mandating that every person wears a mask, from my perspective as a law enforcement official, I say, okay, how would this be enforced? And you have a police department who has a 365-day-a-year function of protecting and serving people against crime, against disorder, against in situations of general need, whether it be medical needs. So the police have a foundational mission. During the COVID-19 crisis, our mission has remained foundational about public safety and crime, but now the added realities of COVID-19 have entered into the equation. So when you look at laws or rules, I think the practical thing that you have to decide is, how do you enforce it? And how practical is it to enforce it? And then how necessary on the priority of public health is this needed? Now, we have places in the city like Stop and Shop where the majority of people go to shop. In that situation, through rules and regulations, people have to social distance. occupancy in the stores have been reduced, and people are required to wear masks. Now, that's an environment that we collectively decided had some risks associated with it because of the volume and the frequency of visit. But we've taken care of those issues by those rules. Looking at the idea of everybody being mandated to wear a mask, I personally and professionally don't think that it's something that we have to do right now. I've deferred to medical experts, people in the field who are providing policy information. I don't believe that there is a 100% agreement that this is an absolute. I think advisory is a good thing, and I think the proof is that most of our citizens, and when I say most, the vast, vast majority, are doing everything we ask, following everything we ask. Now, there are always outliers. There are always people that don't do it, and I think, unfortunately, people spend a lot of time zoning in on a very, very small segment of the population, and they're losing sight of the fact that the very, very vast majority of the people are doing everything they can do to make the city safer. So I don't believe that right now a mandatory citywide requirement would be practically enforceable, and I don't believe that the situation that we're in right now warrants it or requires it. I don't think it would be a wise path to go.
Do you want to add to that?
The only thing I'd add to that is that if the availability of masks was higher, then it could be something that could seriously be considered. But I can't, and I don't think the chief or the police would be comfortable giving someone a $300 fine because they can't obtain a mask on a given day or a given afternoon, or maybe they gave their mask to somebody else so they could get on the train. We've got to let people live a little bit. I would ask people that don't have a mask and they're out in public, give other people a wider berth, even if they're masked. It's just the polite thing to do.
Yeah. Does that answer that, Ms. Hung?
Well, I think it's a good, good response, and people will need to take their own judgment on choices in terms of when they encounter people who are not wearing masks.
Yeah, and we'll continue
to stay away from them.
Yeah,
Exactly.
That's what they've always said. So we'll continue to advocate and try to persuade people to do it, but short of that, it'll remain advisory for now.
Yeah, May brings up a very good point. One of the things about that is if you are out in the public and you see someone without a mask, you are actually able to see them early enough that you can avoid them. So there are things that we can do in our everyday life that protect us from certain situations. As Chris said, if you see a bunch of people congregating somewhere in defiance of the best practices, well, you still have the ability to protect yourself by avoiding that situation. So there's enough information out there about what keeps you safe and what makes you unsafe that you can avoid those situations. I'm not saying that we ignore those situations. We act on them when we see them or when we are made aware of them. But you and everyone that listens to this knows that if you see something that makes you feel unsafe or is in violation of a health situation, the best thing you can do is to avoid that situation or remove yourself from it.
Okay. All right, thank you. I thought we had another caller, Mr. Cochran, or no?
We do, and just before we go to that caller, I did want to share one quick tidbit that I think really wraps things up about what we're talking about here, especially with our Chinese community in the topic of masks. I did want to point out that showing our strong community and our connection with our Asian community, we had someone reach out to us several weeks ago on Facebook who was a resident here in Malden and whose parents lived back in China and actually had some connections to a factory that was able to produce masks. And this person, totally unsolicited, reached out to us, now it's a second shipment, so nearly 4,000 is the count, masks shipped directly to us, put in the hands of our emergency management director, Captain Glenn Cronin, and then directly distributed to not only our first responders, but also some of our very needy facilities around the city, such as senior housing. So I thought that was a great story that I love to share. The name may have to help me on the pronunciation. Jingwen Fang, I believe,
Yes,
is
Jingwen.
Okay.
Jingwen, yes, Jingwen Feng.
And so we wanted to sincerely say thank you to Jingwen and acknowledge.
Yep. I remember when they came in, it was
broadcast.
very helpful.
Yeah.
Perfect timing.
That's wonderful. I was happy to hear.
Yeah, and with that, we'd like to go to our next question, which is going to come from our caller. So, Joan, go ahead. You are on the air with the panel.
Thank you, Mayor and Captain and Chris, for coming together again tonight. The question I have is, do you think we'll be able to have our Mother's Day breakfast this year?
I don't think so, right? Mm-hmm. Who wants to take that?
Who does it? Where
at Anthony's. It's sponsored by Councilor Crowe.
Yeah.
School committee member Mike Drummy.
Well, I would always say this. I try to always say, what would I want my mother to do if she was around? You know, if I was a cop working in a sector and my mother lived there, I'd do everything I could to make that neighborhood safe. So I think if my mother was still around, I'd probably say, Ma, you have to stay home. I'll cook breakfast for you that day. And because it's just one day. And I think every day you have your mother around is a blessing. So I think maybe not having it makes you more appreciative of having your mother around all the time.
But,
so that would be the way I would look at it.
But Joan, if we know Councilor Crowe like we think we know her, I'm sure she'll try to come up with something to make sure, that tradition is, continued in some fashion. So just hang in there for now. But I don't think the traditional breakfast will happen as planned. All right?
I mean, I'll say this. A lot of friends of mine, Irish friends, were very disappointed that there was no St. Patrick's Day parade. And that was a instinctive feeling. But afterwards, in retrospect, everybody believes, whether it be Boston or New York, thousands of lives were probably saved by that decision.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they are, painful to some, disappointing to some. But at the end of the day, they are life-saving decisions that people make in public office who at the end of the day have to live by those decisions. And I think when life is involved, the decision becomes a lot easier to make.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay, so that is our final caller of the evening. I think we've cleaned up our questions on social media, which of course leaves us now time for the panel for some closing comments.
Okay, you want to go first, Chief?
Yeah, again, I want to thank everybody for participating. I want to thank the mayor for inviting me. But most of all, I want to thank the community for your interest, for your cooperation and your support. Sometimes at roll call, I remind the officers that times like this, we're a police force, not a police department. And we're a force of good. And the force of good is reinforced every time I go to roll call, every time I see an officer going out with his or her mask on, putting their gloves in the cruiser, knowing that throughout the course of their day they don't know what type of call they're going to go on, who is going to be in need. I always say when you call 911, we do not ask your race, religion, ethnic background, orientation, or anything. We only say, Malden Police, how can we help you? What's your emergency? And we continue to do that, and we will continue to do it. But I want to thank the members of the public. I want to thank the Mayor's office and the Board of Health for really working as a team. And it's through that I know that we will be back to the days when we have our normal meetings in the city. And it's been an honor and a privilege to me to be the police chief, but it's good to be able to play some role in times like this. And I sit here as the chief, but I'm really sitting here representing all the cops that are out on the street right now, waiting for that next call and willing to go to it and to do their best. And that means a lot to me, and I want to thank the mayor and Chris and the community.
Thank you. Chris?
I'll take that as a great way to end it for me, too. I want to thank the community, because when I look at the numbers and I'm walking the streets and my inspectors are out all day long, and I want to thank them. It's a thankless task. They're asking people to do things that are even harder than what most of us have to do at home. So those conversations can get difficult. But each and every person we've encountered may have had a differing opinion, but they eventually come to our point of view. They at least try what we're talking about. And for that, I'm grateful. I think that says a lot about our inspectors and the relationship with the businesses in this community. I think it says a lot about the people that we have conducting business in this community. I haven't had one person say, this is crazy. They just say, well, is there anything else I can do? I've not heard anything other than that, which honestly, I was afraid was going to be the biggest issue. And it's been not an issue at all. I want to thank the public health nurses who have been doing incredible work, the school nurses who volunteered, can't say enough about them. They're doing incredible work. They're taking every case as if it was really their own. We've seen a few tears shed in the office, and that's unfortunate. But thankfully, we have nurses who can handle those situations well, and really, their tears are in support of the people calling. So there's a challenge there for them as well. They're dealing with a lot of difficult conversations. So I want to thank them for showing up every day, because that's the most important thing right now. And I want to thank you for your support. You've been great. I can't say enough about it's a stressful situation, and you've made it less so. Thank you so much. And I want to thank the chief and the fire chief for having my back, basically. I mean, they've given me great input, giving me things to think about, ideas and suggestions how to get it done. So, we're all staying in our lanes, but we're not afraid to pitch in. And I can't say, there are many nights I lay awake thinking, what do I have to do today? What's going to make it better today? What's going to make it easier for someone else today? Not a lot comes to mind because of where we're at, but I bounced them off the chief, and he either tells me it's a good idea or it's a bad idea. But we always come to the best decision, I think. And I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Maria Louise, who's been a great sounding board as well.
And so if someone wants to reach you, the number and email again? Number
of my office is 781-397-7049. And the email that everybody can read is boh@cityofmalden.org.
Okay, great. Ms. Mei Hung, do you want to say a few words to wrap it up?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me and include the Asian community to be part of this process.
Absolutely.
And I think that the people are very eager to be part, and they are very concerned about the situation. And as I always tell people that no matter what kind of difficult situation, there's always two sides. If we are able to also look at the other side of, the other side that we oftentimes don't see is that when the difficult time that we see a lot of good people to work together and give us a lot of hope. It gives us really a reason to wake up in the morning and to continue forward, move forward to embrace the second challenges coming ahead of us. And with that we will be able to overcome whatever obstacles within us.
Okay.
Thank you so much for the city
and
everyone.
And just on behalf of the city, I want to take a moment to thank Chief Molis and Mr. Webb, Maria Louise, Ron Cochran, and everybody else that has been responding to this pandemic. Going in, we weren't sure how the government was going to function, but I can say to you after several weeks that that hasn't been the issue for us. They've all risen to the occasion, and so we just want to publicly say thank you. And then what they said, I also want to just touch upon is the response from the community. If you're looking for something to raise your spirits, this weekend Councillor Seeker and others will be parading through Malden at physical distance to try to bring a little bit of joy during these dark times. Just this week, Encore Boston Harbor, once again, we didn't have to call them. They called us to say that they have some items they wanted to donate to the Bread of Life to try to help people in need. And the list goes on. It's just been really heartwarming to see the city come together during these difficult times. So, thank you, and we'll be back here next week to give you an update. In the meantime, please follow us on social media, cityofmalden.org, or call us at 781-397-7000.
Okay, maybe we're all set. I'm going to end the Zoom.